Dear students of grade 12, welcoming you all again to today's economics class. Today we shall be learning chapter 4, poverty, which is also one of the main challenges facing in Indian economy. In the previous chapters, you have studied the economic policy that India has taken in the last 6 decades and also its outcome on our various developmental indicators. The major aim of independent India is to provide the minimum basic needs to the people and to reduce the poverty. So the pattern of development that the successive five-year plan laid emphasis on the upliftment of the poorest of the poor, integrating the poor to the mainstream and achieving a minimum standard of the living. So today we shall be learning some of the important points under this chapter, that is poverty. These are some of the topics that you will be learning from this chapter. While addressing the Constituent Assembly in the year 1947, our first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, has said that this achievement, that is our independence, is a step of opening a new opportunity, that is to end this poverty, to end our ignorances, and to end our diseases and inequality of opportunity. So poverty is not only a challenge for India because as more than 1/5 of the world poors live in India alone. As for the world, we have about 300 million people who are not able to meet their basic needs. Therefore, poverty is a call to action for the poor, a call to change the world so that many more may have enough to eat, adequate shelter, access to education and health, protection from violence, and a voice in what happens in their communities. Now, what is poverty? Or let us learn the meaning of poverty. So poverty, it is an inability to fulfill the minimum requirements of life like food, clothing, housing, education and health facilities. So when we are unable to fulfill the minimum requirement or the basic needs such as food, clothing, housing, education and health facilities, it is regarded as poverty. Who are the poor, or how will you categorize the poor people? Starvation and hunger are the key features of the poorest household or the poorest family. The poor people, they also lack a basic literacies and skills. They also have a very limited economic opportunities. The poor people, they also face unstable employment. In urban area, poor people or the poor categories are mostly those who are push cart vendors, street cobblers, rag pickers, vendors, bakers. These are some of the example of poor or one of the most vulnerable group in urban areas. In rural area, those who are landless laborers, irregular 2 meals a day, those who do not get 2 meals a day, those who lack basic literacy and skill, they are some of the example, or they are most of the vulnerable group in the rural area. So in all this area, we can identify or we can classify the poor household or the poor people. Poverty can be measured in two ways. The first is through relative poverty. Now, what is relative poverty? Relative poverty, it refers to poverty of people in comparison to other people in different region or nation. It is also interpreted in terms of inequality of income within the country or a region. The second measures of poverty is through absolute poverty. Now, when we talk about absolute poverty, it refers to total number of people who are living below the poverty line. Absolute poverty is measured on the basis of two criteria, that is true by minimum calories consumption criteria, and also second is true by minimum consumption expenditure. Now, when we talk about minimum calories consumption criteria, those people who are not getting 2,400 calories per person per day in rural area and 2,100 calories in urban area is considered to be living below the poverty line. Now, this is the amount of consumption when the people in rural area could not able to eat 2,400 calories intake in a day, or in urban area 2100 calories intake in a day. If they could not able to fulfill their consumption, they are considered as below poverty line. Now, when you talk about minimum consumption expenditure criteria, it talks about the income or the expenditure. So the new poverty line also translates the monthly per capita consumption expenditure of rupees 972 in rural area and rupees 1407 in urban area. So those people who could not expense a minimum of 972 in rural area and rupees 1407 in urban area, those could not expense this much of money, they are regarded as people living below the poverty line. So these are some of the two criteria in absolute poverty. Poverty can be in different forms to different people. We shall now learn some of the different categories of poverty. The first is chronic poor. These are those people who are always poor but may sometimes have a little more money. For example, casual workers. The second is churning poor. These are those people who regularly move in and out of poverty. Workers like small farmers and seasonal workers, they usually faces a churning poor. Third is transit poor. Transit poor are also called occasional poor. They are rich but may sometimes have a patch of bad luck. The next is non-poor. These are those people who are never poor. And the last is the absolutely poor. They are always poor. So these are some of the different types of or different categories of poverty. What is poverty line, or how will you define poverty line? Poverty line, it is a cutoff point on the line of distribution which usually divides the population of the country as poor and non-poor. Now, people having income below the poverty line, they are called poor, and people with an income above the line are called non-poor. According to the Planning Commission, they define the poverty line on the basis of recommended nutritional requirements, which we have learned earlier. That is, when a person consumes at least 2,400 calories per person in rural areas and 2,100 calories per person in urban areas, they are regarded as poverty or below poverty line. So those who could not able to consume at least these calories, they are regarded as people living below poverty line. So while fixing this poverty line, food is considered as the most important criteria. As in India, the official data on poverty is made available to the public by the Planning Commission, and this estimation on the basis of consumption expenditure and this on the basis of this minimum requirements, these data are collected by the one organization called the National Sample Survey Organization. So these are some of the two agencies which give us a data on the poverty. Poverty is a horrifying thing, and we know that this is one of the important challenges that we are facing at present. We shall now learn some of the causes of poverty. There are many reasons behind the roots of the poverty. The first reason is due to underdevelopment of the Indian economy. This underdevelopment of the Indian economy is manifested by the relative backwardness of agriculture and industrial sector. The second is due to population explosion. Rapid growth of population, particularly among the poor, is responsible for the problem of poverty in our country. The third is high level of unemployment. For more than 6 decades, our economic planning has failed to generate adequate employment opportunities in both the industrial sector and service sector. Now, due to this, unemployment has resulted in low level of income, and a large share of our population now lies below the minimum subsistence level. Another causes of poverty is due to inequalities of income. Now, these inequalities of income, it implies distribution of national income and concentration of economic power only in the rich section of the society. It means that the benefits of growth has been only benefited or only applied by the rich section and have not reached the poorest of the poor. So the rich become richer as their income rises and assets expanded. Another fifth cause of the poverty is due to social and political factor. Social factors such as joint family system, law of inheritance, strong belief in destiny and fate. These factors have prevented the individual from taking initiative and risks. People believe that their present state is due to their destiny and it keeps the individual in vicious circle of poverty. Political factor implies that before independence, India was exploited under the British rule. So after independence, other political factors have adversely affected the economic progress. The next reason is due to inflation. Inflation implies the rise in the price, particularly of the essential commodities. This has added to the miserable condition to the poor. The next reason is due to high illiteracy rate. Low education result in the low income are also a positive correlation between the poverty and poverty and illiteracy rate. The next is due to the poor state of agriculture. Uh, this is also one of the main reasons which caused the poverty. Labor and land productivity continued to be low in India, which consequently most of the farmers lived in the state of poverty. The last reason which causes the poverty is due to underutilization of resources. Due to the unexploitation of natural resources or underutilization of our resources of the country, poverty spreads throughout the country. There are many ways to remove this poverty. Some of the measures to remove poverty are acceleration of economic growth, that is improvement in our economic growth, reducing inequality of income, that is reducing the imbalances in our income, population control, agriculture development, and more employment opportunities. So these are some of the ways or measures to remove our poverty. In recent years, our Indian government has initiated many programs and schemes to alleviate or to eradicate this poverty. We shall now be learning some of the poverty alleviation program initiated by the Indian government. The first program is the PMRY, that is Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana. Now, this program was launched in the year 1993. This program aims to create self-employment opportunities in rural areas and small towns. Under this program, educated unemployment from low-income families in rural and urban areas, they get a financial assistance in the form of bank loans in order to set up any kind of enterprise that generates employment. So that is PMRY. The second is SGSY, that is Swarna Jayanthi Kram Swarozgar Yojana. Now, what is this SGSY? SGSY is a self-employment program which was launched with effect from 1st April 1999 as a result of reconstructing and combining the earlier poverty eradication programs like integrated rural development program, development of women and children in rural areas. These programs, it aims at promoting micro enterprise and to bring the assisted poor families above the poverty line by organizing them into the self-help groups. Now, what do the self-help group do? Initially, these self-help groups, they are encouraged to save some money and lend among themselves as a small loans. So this is what they do in SGSY. The third is SGRY. Now, SGRY is a Sampoorna Gramin Rozgar Yojana. Now, this scheme, it was launched with effect from September 2001. This scheme aims at providing wage employment in rural areas and food security, along with the creation of durable community, social, and economic assets. So, this is the SGRY. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Now, this scheme it was passed in the year 2005, and later on it was launched in the year February 2006. Now, the aim of this MGNREGA is to provide guarantee wage employment to every household Under this program, volunteer adults will be provided unskilled manual work for a minimum of 100 days in a year. Mantri Gramodaya Yojana, we call it PMGY. This program was introduced in 2000 and 2001 with the objective of focusing on village level development in 5 critical areas. Now these 5 areas are health, primary education, drinking water, housing and rural roads, improving quality of life of people in rural areas. The next is minimum needs program. Minimum needs program, we call it MNP, is to provide minimum basic amenities to the people. It was launched during the 5th plan. The program covers primary education, adult education, rural health, rural water supply, rural roads, rural electrification, rural housing and ecological improvement of the urban slums. This is expected to improve the quality of life of the poorer section of the society. Micro Units Development Refinance Agency Bank, that is MUDRA Bank. The government has also set up a MUDRA Bank in April 2005. This MUDRA Bank program its objective is to meet credit needs of micro enterprise and self-employment person. Under MUDRA Yojana or MUDRA program, a micro enterprise or a firm or industry is entitled for a loan up to rupees 10 lakhs per unit. National Rural Livelihood Mission, that is NRLM. NRLM scheme is also known as Aajeevika. In the first phase, it was implemented in 150 districts in the year 2012 and 13. The scheme has also expanded to another 150 districts in 2014 to 15, and by 2016 to 17, it has covered and extended the whole of the nation. NRLM now is expected to provide self-employment to 90 lakhs person. National Social Assistance Program NSAP. It was introduced on 15 August 1995 for social assistance benefit to poor households affected by old age, death, primary breadwinner, and maternity care. The program has 3 components: National Old Age Pension Scheme, National Family Benefit Scheme, and National Benefit Scheme. The last poverty alleviation program here is Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. It was launched Jan Dhan Yojana. It was launched in 2014, in which people in India are encouraged to open bank accounts. So students, in conclusion, we shall say that the objectives of all our policies starting from 1991 onwards has been stated as promoting rapid and balanced economic development with equality and social justice. Poverty alleviation has always been accepted as one of the India's main challenges by the policymaker, regardless of which government was in power. It has been found that the absolute number of poor in our country has gone down tremendously, and some of the states have also seen a less proportion of poor than ever the national average. However, the fruit of development have not always reached to all the section of the population, and there are also many others who have not been able to come out of this vicious circle of poverty. So even till today, poverty is one of the main challenges that we India, our countries are facing. So we shall be learning more of the some of the more challenges that we Indians are facing apart from this poverty in the next chapter. So until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you.